Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lender who helps it grow. Lance, good to see you. Delaney, good to see you. A lot of good stories, a lot of information. Right off the top, Delaney, yeah, you know about that. I don't understand. A $2,000 loan?
A $2,000. Where are you seeing that one?
Oh, I thought one of them was a $2,000 loan.
No, they were all at least in around the 10,000s.
Oh,
but
okay.
nonetheless, they weren't. Not all of them were very substantial loans. Recently, the Federal Reserve released a press statement saying they banned 5 bankers from working in the industry again for obtaining PPP and EIDL loans. Now, this follows in April of this year, there were 6 bankers who were banned from ever working in the industry for similar reasons. These 5 people, I'm a little lost on whether or not to use allegedly. None of them have admitted or denied the allegation.
That's not allegedly. They've been banned. Yeah, so.
I know it just agreeing with this order of prohibition prevents them from having to go through any other proceedings or litigation, allegedly, or they did all apply for PPP and EIDL loans using false pretenses and also using the proceeds for unapproved reasons, personal expenses and whatnot.
What type of car?
No cars.
I don't know if there's any
no
cars.
information on that.
Lance, you were a regulator at one point in time. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, I just can't believe someone would throw their career away for $10,000. Some of them were larger, but and the money was, not incredibly difficult to get, but these people got easy money. And I sure hope that 10,000 or even the 91,000 lasts for a long time because, they're going to have to find a new job.
Well, I assume the DOJ is they've seized the money or they're going after it, Lance. So they're not even going to get the money.
Yeah, I would find it hard to believe in these circumstances that they've not seized what's left. Now, that's one of the challenges with some of these seizures is somebody might get a $100,000 PPP loan fraudulently, and when they go to seize the bank account, there's $8,000 left or a lesser amount. But it's hard for me to imagine someone not thinking and destroying their career for a small amount of money.
Yeah, and then especially as you get older, that's when the big dollars kick in. And so I don't know how old these people were, but they obviously they're gonna lose out at the tail end of their career, the larger salaries and the greater positions. Have any of these people been indicted, Delaney? Do we know about that?
No, the order of prohibition basically saves them from indictments from what I'm understanding.
Oh, okay.
So as long as they don't violate any of the terms in the order of prohibition, I think they're clear. Now, you were discussing the money. I'm not 100% sure on what will happen with that. I believe it's Coleman has paid $92,000 back to the SBA, but that was the only mention of repayment.
Lance, what happens? Do these people go into a database? How do we as lenders know that they've been banned?
Bob, that's a great question because I've been involved in bank closures and finding bankers who were put on the list, but I'm not real sure how they distribute the list. I'm sure financial institutions, when you go to work for them, most do some sort of background check, and I'm sure this comes up in a background check.
Yeah, because it would it be in sam.gov?
Possibly, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe if someone knows, they can shoot us an email.
Yeah, if somebody knows, I would love to know as well.
Yeah. Well, very good. I mean, it's these stories are sad. I'm sure in retrospect, all 5 of these individuals are questioning their judgment on why they did that. But you know, in a moment of weakness, as you said, Lance, it was easy money. They're
Yeah.
the smartest person in the room says, "Hey, I know how I can get this. I know how to put together the documents to get this."
I think something that would be interesting is to find out if any of these people were involved in the PPP loan process at that institution.
Yeah, yeah. And what happened with Harrison White?
Yes, these two apparently worked at banks, and I believe Charlotte. Please don't quote me on that. I believe it is Charlotte, North Carolina. It did not disclose what banks they were working for, but Miss Harris here was earning about a $2,000 to $5,000 fee for her help in filing fraudulent PPP loans. She would create counterfeit IRS forms and inflate the income to get these people the highest PPP payment possible, allegedly. The indictment stated that she created about 30 or more PPP loans for over $900,000. Now, Ms. White allegedly applied for and obtained 2 PPP loans with the help of Ms. Harris. I think it said about $100,000. And then lastly, there is a third player who I didn't focus on quite as much. His name is Cedric Benton. Apparently he is Miss White's boyfriend, and he also applied for 2 PPP loans despite his prior criminal conviction.
In the words of the famous PPP rapper that I had an opportunity to hear his song, "Who helped you get your PPP?" is what he said. And in this particular case, it must be to Mika Harris that helped. This is another case that, again, the process, it was fairly easy to get the money, and I understand going after bankers that help people commit fraud on PPP because they had inside knowledge on how to do this. And certainly this is just one of many, hopefully not many that bankers are involved with, but there were a lot of what you call PPP rings where there were individuals that would help others put together their fraudulent PPP loan application.
Lance, it is not, let's just go through it, break it down. It is not a crime to help someone get a PPP loan and charge a fee, correct? Okay.
Absolutely. Well, you can't charge the borrower a fee. That's in the PPP IFR. If there is a fee charged on a PPP loan, it's supposed to be charged to the bank. So any of these people out here who are assisting PPP borrowers with putting together PPP applications, if they charge the bank a fee, that's okay. But if they charge the borrower, it's pretty clear the borrower is not supposed to pay a fee for packaging on a PPP.
And the two master rule on that, very good. And Harris did not, looks like she did not get along. She simply assisted people in photoshopping documents, allegedly. Next, what did Mr. Jones do?
Yes, Mr. Nicholas Jones. This came out of Boise, Idaho. He was sentenced for wire fraud and falsification of records. He got 30 months, a $100,000 fine, and almost $100,000 in restitution. Now, as you can see in the title, he was a former congressional candidate. He was trying to run for the House of Representatives. At this time, I believe I might have made a mistake. I said he got a $750,000 economic injury disaster loan. I believe that was actually mostly from PPP, but he did get both. He did have a valid small business, but he did not use the funds for valid reasons. There was a car payment. Bob, I'm sorry to tell you, have no idea what the car is. There's life insurance policies. He paid for his political advertising.
That one I like.
Mm-hmm.
So you mean I could have gotten a PPP loan to pay for my life insurance?
There you go. and we'd be talking about you.
Yeah, no.
Lance,
Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to see you on here.
Lance,
That's Bob.
why does everyone get? We all understand falsification of records. That's photoshopping. It's you can buy it on Craigslist. We've talked about that in the past. If you want to scare, for those of you who don't, just type in tax returns Craigslist, and you can get some pretty nice tax returns for anything you want.
Well, a pretty common thread in the things we see on Fraud Friday is what you said, Bob, falsification of documentation, creating fake tax returns, creating fake businesses. The people who had a business or had a Schedule C and used the money properly, they're not showing up on Fraud Friday. It's the people who doctored documents, the people who spent money on life insurance and political campaign advertising that are getting
and again, it's a small portion. Go ahead, Dylan.
But and very quickly, I do want to clarify, I believe he actually did apply for PPP and EIDL validly. I think the falsification of records comes in when he was filing campaign finance reports and he did not disclose that he was using some of that money from these loans. He actually was paying his employees at his small business using PPP funds to work on his campaign. I believe that is where it was. He omitted his contributions.
But I assume he lost since he's a former candidate. So.
It seems like he lost quite a bit here.
Lance, what's the crime for the wire fraud? What happens in that? Do you know?
Well, wire fraud is the typical charge that you see on these PPP fraud cases, and I'm certainly not a prosecutor and don't fully understand it, but when they move money obtained fraudulently from account to account, it's wire fraud.
I understand that. I don't know why I'm with you. I don't know why that's a crime. Maybe, Delaney, maybe you can look into that a little bit more and we can talk about it on future Fraud Fridays.
Well, and wire fraud seems to be the easiest charge to hang them.
Yeah, you have 500,000 here. You moved it from this bank to E-Trade or whatever. But
basically.
I understand that part. I don't understand. I guess they're saying they're diverting it from what the original purpose was to leave it in the company to make the payroll.
Yeah, and I wonder if Nicholas Jones got caught in the forgiveness process by an SBA review, or did he get caught from the political campaign reporting? I wonder which got it.
Father Lance would not have forgiven him. Is this what you're saying?
I don't think there would have been forgiveness if I got a forgiveness application submitted with these uses of proceeds.
Very good. Very good, Delaney. Good reporting. And on a side note, the Department of Justice is coming out with a lot of those. But again, the summary on this is we want to talk about it. We want to show, learn from other people's mistakes, and just simple greed. And Lance, it's just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And like I said, PPP fraud, most of what I see, most of what I talk to prosecutors, FBI, the Department of Justice, most of it centers around falsification of documentation and then attempting to hide the money once you get it.
Right, and then just signing the affidavit that everything's true and correct. Bam, that's low-hanging fruit. Prosecutors will go after that. Let's change direction. Shout out to our friends at Fresno. This is a great idea from SBA. I love it. Good for you out there, Joel Steiner and his group. And they have an open virtual office hours. I was going to say open house, same concept. You can call up and they will answer all of your questions regarding COVID, EIDL, I assume PPP and more. Lance, what does the Fresno office cover that, what type of questions would be appropriate for Fresno?
Fresno is a servicing and liquidation center, but they can answer questions in other areas as well. They're going to be able to provide guidance on EIDL loans, PPP servicing and liquidation and guarantee purchase, but the Fresno Center is a servicing and liquidation center. However, they're very capable of answering questions
Oh,
about SBA loans in general.
I assume this is 10 a.m. Pacific since they're in Fresno. And I don't know what should a lender who is serviced by Little Rock join in and ask questions, or should they respect the Fresno office? What's the appropriate protocol, Lance?
I don't really know, Bob. I suspect the Little Rock Center probably will come out with something similar to this, but if not, I don't suspect Joel will care where the lender is from that's asking the questions. And I'm very excited about this, Bob. It's great that SBA is opening up and willing to answer questions that lenders have.
I'm all for this. You know, you and I have done this. You've done very well with answering the PPP questions. I love it that SBA, you can answer the questions. And I do know that if they don't have the answer, they will get back to you. But I would imagine they're going to be able to answer 99% of the questions, Lance. I mean,
that's the cornerstone of what we've tried to do here is we try to provide answers to questions through Coleman Report Live and through the webinars. And we may not always know the answer, but if we don't,
we know where to get it. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm kudos for Fresno for doing this, and absolutely. I'm just, you know, we try not to be too critical of SBA, and we are when they screw up, we will talk about it. But when they do something right, we want to talk about that as well. Let's see, we're coming out. We're talking about this a little bit, and we're going to be talking about more and more. December 9th is coming up around the corner. If you lend to small businesses in California, you will have to disclose. And none of those are shocking, but in the past, now what we've done for consumers, we need to do for small business. And California is getting very aggressive on not only small business, but all sorts of regulation, but specifically small business and things in terms of licensing and regulation. So we're coming out with that's going to be our new topic that we're going to be covering, Lance. And it's sort of, I don't want to say it's the Wild West, but this is effective December 9th.
Well, and I think it's, Bob, I hate to say this, but there are predatory small business lenders. And
there are. No, you can.
The state of California is trying to help at least get information to give them an opportunity to regulate.
Lance, and then we're going to close with what are you doing next week? And I understand you are going to be working with Delaney, and we're going to put together a SBA Express guide. And that's going to come
Absolutely. Just helping you to understand the guaranteed purchase process on an SBA Express loan. You know, there's some subtle differences between a regular 7A and an Express loan. But just keep in mind, it doesn't have to be an SBA Express loan. Any SBA loan under $350,000, according to the SOP 5057-2, can use the Express 10-tab package.
Very good. And that's obviously, it's going to be more and more prevalent as we go forward. Hey, Delaney, good reporting. Lance, good to see you as always. Everyone have a nice weekend. Thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you for joining us today for today's episode. If you like today's content, hit that subscribe button to subscribe to our channel and click that bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. Thank you again for joining us today and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time. Catch you next time.